Good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Jess, and welcome to another episode of The Persuasion Pitch. Good morning, everyone. I actually met my guest today through a fellow anti-MLM advocate named Savvy. You guys probably know who she is. And it turns out he only lives like 50 miles from me. It's such a small world. So I have RK Gold on today.
Okay, so I have RK on with me today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I mean, it's a Monday. The sky. So actually, I am fantastic because it's the weather's starting to warm up again, which means the windows are no longer getting horrible condensation on them. So I don't have to keep scrubbing away these puddles that have been all over our floors and
we
windowsills.
can relate with that because, like I told them, you live literally like an hour from me. It's crazy. So it was like 20-something degrees the other day. Now it's 70. It's wild.
Have you seen the 12 Seasons of Louisiana? It's like my favorite meme.
Wait, yeah, I think I did. I think I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like first winter, fake spring, second winter, false spring.
Right. It's so true. It's aggravating because like in the mornings you have to go feel the window. That's what I do. I feel the window to see if it's going to be cold or if it's going to be hot. So it's a thing. So for those of you who do not know, RK is an author, and it's so crazy because I have seen him comment on my friend Savvy's videos like all the time, and he's so funny, and I was like, I want to have him on the podcast, and I didn't follow him on Instagram or anything, so I was like, how am I going to get in touch with him? And then he followed me on Instagram, and then the rest is history, I guess. So you and Savvy have been doing this, I guess it's a series where you live the life of a guru, and I've spoke about this on the podcast before. Like MLM reps will go by like these gurus and follow what they say and do it to be more successful, things like that. So y'all did Rachel Hollis. Like as I'm recording this, it will be last week, but I know it's going to be like future right now. But you guys did Rachel Hollis. How was that?
So Rachel, we're doing Grant Cardone this week, and Rachel was more difficult than Grant because she actually gives a pretty decent breakdown of what she does in the morning. Now she's a mother of multiple kids. She likes to say she starts her days on the offensive. So we were living our mornings as if we were mothers of multiple kids, which is a very difficult job. So I would say that hers is pretty tiring. Wake up at 5 a.m. Down your coffee, get your workout in. The one thing I will say is there's something really nice about finishing your workout before sunrise. Just because you feel so accomplished. It's not a necessity. There's nothing wrong with doing your workout just before work, no matter when that is, or after work, whenever it fits into your schedule. But there is something empowering about getting your caffeine intake up, doing your workout, getting your heart rate up, and just sort of starting the day on a physical positive, if you would. It really boosts your mood. From there, I wasn't a big fan of like the journaling early in the morning. Personally, I think it's better to consume in the morning than to create. I think the way my mind works is I'd rather get it working by reading. Just from what I've noticed, I mean, whether it be the newspaper or nonfiction, to get my mind working to react to other ideas that are far more polished than anything that my brilliant mind could possibly come up without my groggy state. And then she moves on to being with her kids and hopping into work. And I'd say the primary takeaway that Savvy and I got from that self-help guru week 1 from Rachel was, in an age where creating content is the key to just about any form of online success, it's better to be a creator, and it's better to have high quantity than high quality. A daily stream at 8 a.m. is probably the best way to start your day.
Right. Yeah, I could never journal in the morning. I don't want to say I'm a morning person. I do get up early ever since I had my son, which was 11 years ago. I was for like over a year after I had him, I had to go to bed at 8 p.m. I did not stay up after 8 p.m. If I did, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so late. And then I would wake up at like 5 a.m. and then I would drink coffee and start my day like that. I wouldn't say I'm a morning person, but like I guess I had no choice but to live that life. So
I get it, especially with the Rachel. I mean, the one thing with Rachel was I've never wanted to take naps more than with her morning routine. And I'm not against naps,
right.
but I'd also, I don't know. It depends on the person. Like, I think I'll see how I feel today. I'll see if I have my 2 p.m. crash like I was having last week, but I'm feeling a little bit more energized.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay awake through the day, get to sleep at a decent hour. I'm happy I don't have to pass out at 8. But last week, I mean, when we finished Rachel Hollis that Friday, I think I went to sleep at 8, like you just said you did, and I slept until like 9 the next day. Like, yeah, I got 13 hours of sleep.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love sleep. I love to sleep. I mean, I just do.
Fun activity.
Yeah, I have to have it is. And I have to have at least 8 hours to be like a normal person. It's crazy. I can go on 7 hours, but if I have less than 7 hours, I honestly feel physically sick to my stomach. It's crazy. Like, I feel sick and I'm mean. I'm so mean. Like, it's not a good person to be around. So yeah, I definitely need my sleep.
Oh, sleeping is an absolutely beautiful thing. I love it.
Yes, it is.
It was kind of funny. My girlfriend was telling me also at the end of the Rachel Hollis thing, I guess, and I'm sure it was just because I was so tired or maybe I was stressed, but she was like, I started sleep talking by the end of it. And like, not just like muttering in my sleep, but she said I was just speaking at like normal volume in my sleep.
That's crazy.
So don't.
She started to brainwash you probably because she has
that effect.
Yes, she does. Yeah, it's crazy because, like, I'll just touch on this really fast. She had like this conference called Rise. I do know that. And people paid like this crazy amount to go see her and see her speak. And then it was like something like she would give marital advice, her and her husband, and then she ended up getting a divorce. So
yeah, what was that, like Rise Together, I think they did? Or something like that.
I don't know. I've never even read one of her books ever. I've just heard about it. So
I mean,
and I know it's very popular among MLM reps. So.
She's a good writer. I think that's one thing. Savvy and I both give her credit for that. I've read 2. I've read Girl Stop Apologizing and didn't see that coming was awful.
Yeah, I know that Girl Wash Your Face was like huge.
Girl Wash Your Face was huge. That's the one I didn't read. But Savvy said that a lot of Girl Wash Your Face is repeated in Girl Stop Apologizing, so I'm not feeling the overwhelming desire to read it.
Yeah.
But she's really, I'd say in her books, so one of the more complicated things to do with writing is to find your voice. Now, that's specifically with she writes nonfiction. I'm talking specifically with fiction. They always say it's difficult to find your voice. It's difficult to find your style. Rachel has a very clear style. She's really good at including humor in her books, which is one of the reasons why I think she comes across so relatable. And she's really good at storytelling. She can really paint a clear picture, wonderful with her imagery. And I think that she is a fantastic writer for that. And I can see how she was able to find such success with her nonfiction. Her most recent book was very clearly a cash grab, though. I didn't see that coming. It read very awkwardly, choppy, didn't make much sense, didn't go in any direction. The stories did not have endings. They just sort of like stopped. And they didn't really have clear lessons either.
Well, the rumor I heard is that, she has allegedly plagiarized a lot. And the other rumor I heard was that there was an entire chapter in one of her books on Diet Coke, but I don't know how true that is. Is there any truth to that?
So plagiarism, I'm not familiar with that with her books. I know she got in trouble for plagiarizing on Instagram, where she took credit for a Maya Angelou quote on one of her Instagram posts, and then she wrote a not apology, and she threw her social media team under the bus for that. As for the Diet Coke thing, I mean, not that I recall the stories. the stories I recall are. There are no obese animals in the wild, which is stupid.
Yeah, I heard there's some body shaming going on as well. So
yeah, there's some body shaming. There's, I mean, from Girl Stop Apologizing to Didn't See That Coming, there are definitely some changes in who she is as a person too. And maybe that's part of the reason why the writing changed so much. And it just felt rushed with Didn't See That Coming. Like she was so sure of who she was in Girl Stop Apologizing. And so many of her opinions in that book either changed or she never actually believed in them, but she was able to at least see the money in them. And now that money is gone, she has to find a new identity and she just has not found one yet. Right. But like her fitness, that's completely changed. She used to talk about like boxing gyms and like high interval intensity training, or high intensity interval training, just basically being like a total boss, shit like that. She also like attacked the boss babe mentality. She's like, there's nothing feminine about this. But
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think and then Savvy herself, shout out Savvy. If anyone listening to this has not heard of her, check out Savvy Writes Book, her YouTube channel. She's actually read all of Rachel Hollis's books, including her fiction books. And it's interesting to hear Savvy talk about it because I do think that one of her greatest strengths is writing and is storytelling. And she's sort of this pillar of how far a storyteller can go. I mean, if you can tell a compelling story, for good or for bad, you can really grow online.
Yeah. All right. So you are not like thanks for that input. You're not a crazy like anti-MLMer like me. I wouldn't say crazy, but you know, I'm so hardcore anti-MLM. That is everything I talk about. I could talk about it for hours, like I've said previous in one of my episodes. But you do have a story because you ran into a Mary Kay rep, or how did that go? How did that go down?
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as like not being as anti-MLM as you say, like I guarantee I agree with all of your opinions on anti-MLM. It's just not my existence. Like that, like that's all I can really say. No, I mean, like we're all trying to have an existence online because nothing exists. I never thought it would
be that though. That's the thing. It's like someone asked me a question, and I was like, "Wow, I've never thought of that like that deep." They were like, "This is your image now. Do you realize that this is your image?" And I'm like, "Whoa, it's my image," you know. And it's like just thinking about that was kind of like I didn't know. I don't know. I guess I just never thought it would be like an image. I don't know. It's just crazy to think about.
We live our life in lines of code, so we can only take it, no matter how sophisticated the internet gets, our perception of it is never going to truly, I don't know, unmask the nuance of what it means to be a true individual. And when it comes down to who a person is, we'll probably find the three most defining features about them and go with that. And that's one of the reasons why gurus love the idea of pushing the importance of growing a brand, because if you can say, if you can break your identity down to a binary and you can sell it online, simple is better. It's very tangible. Someone will see it and they'll grab onto it and they'll wrap their entire identity up into it. And you know that you can make sales once people do that. So there is something manipulative about that tactic in how we perceive online images and branding. And it's just also for the sake of, if anyone wants to grow online, there is truth to saying, you know, you circle 3 identities you want to hold. I'm a fitness stoner comedian. Boom. That's now my life. At least that's my life when I have my phone out, which is to say it's my life always. As far as my experience with the Mary Kay rep, so when COVID hit, I Follow the Hummingbird Consulting. We create business plans for people for the most part. We do some bookkeeping. We help people apply for funding, whether it be through local funds, CDFI funds, venture capital funds. We will pitch projects. We help people apply for funding too, and really clear up what their business is, what their tangible assets are, how they're going to grow. And we got a reference because someone wanted help growing their online presence once COVID hit, because after COVID hit, we were no longer able to pursue our traditional services. We had to shift to marketing because that's where all of the money was. And if we wanted to survive, we had to do that. So we shifted to marketing.
Right.
And one of the shifts to marketing included social media marketing. And one of the shifts to social media marketing was like, we'll just straight up run your social media account if you pay us X amount of dollars per month. this woman who's been with Mary Kay for some time and obviously has been losing money because it's a scam.
Yeah, they're gonna lose money. Yep. Mm-hmm.
She drank the Kool-Aid. She knew that she was losing money, and she also knew it was entirely her fault because that's what they told her was. It wasn't her fault. She's a victim, but
right.
She just knew. And I keep saying she knew because even though there's two realities going on here, there's reality and then there's her reality. So even though she entered a game that she had less than a percent chance of winning, she also knew in her reality that she just wasn't working hard enough. And if she hired a social media consultant, someone to run her social media, someone to help her grow, she would build a successful downline and grow her business. She wanted to make it
so bad, like they all do. They all just, they want to make it so bad to that top.
And she reached out to me, and she was so sure that this was the right course to take, that she needed that professional to run her social media. And I asked her how things are going, and she was telling me how she's been losing money. She needed to grow. She needed to sell the product, and she needed to sell a downline. And she was willing to invest another $2,000 into social media growth.
That's crazy. That's sad.
So sad.
Really sad.
So I turned her away because I sort of have there's two very simple lessons that I sort of run my businesses by, which is one, the don't be a dick policy. I never hide anything behind a paywall. If someone has a direct question and they ask me, if I know the answer, I will always tell them. The second policy is I don't ever want to be a net negative for someone. So if I feel like they will go out of business from working with me, I tell them that straight up, because if for like, maybe it's a karma thing. Maybe it's that New Orleans is a tiny city, and if you start developing this reputation for a shitty entrepreneur, no one's going to want to work with you. Or maybe it's you have like you're actually a good person and not a could be all of the above. But I full-heartedly believe that a lot of the gurus that we're following right now they live very strictly. I'm terrified I'm rambling right now, but they live by a very strict code of $1 in someone else's pocket is better off in my pocket. I think that's that is just a really sleazy way to operate as a business owner.
It reminds me of like Grant Cardone. He's always reminded me of a used car salesman. Like the kind that wants to, like, I'm going to get a car and I don't know anything about vehicles, and he sells me this car that's been wrecked like 100 times and there's tons of stuff wrong with it, but he says it's great. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Yeah.
I agree. I absolutely think he's a caricature. I can say now, starting his Grant Cardone week for Self-Help Guru. I mean, if I see his purpose, I appreciate him from an entertainment standpoint, but I feel bad for anyone that watches this and believes that this is the way to find success and wealth, because at best, you're going to find motivation with him. At worst, you're going to lose however much money you put into his businesses. Right.
And isn't he in Scientology?
I believe so. I believe he did find. I believe he did find Scientology. I'm gonna quickly Google that real quick, but I remember that being in one of his books.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that is, like, I'm fine with everyone's religion and beliefs, but they do use the same, like Scientology. If you look at it, they use the same tactics as multi-level marketing companies. So it's crazy if you look at it, like how it goes hand in hand like that. It's actually kind of mind blowing. But, and, I've touched on the Mormon religion and, and Scientology. But yeah, I mean, just, it's crazy to think about like the same tactics. And another person is Eric War. Have you heard of Eric? Yeah.
No?
Oh.
No, I have not. But no,
y'all need to look into him.
He is... no, I haven't heard of him. I'll have to take
look into him. Yes, look into him. You'll be like, what?
Yeah. I want to agree with you on the Scientology comment, because the Antibot, shout out Antibot. So I'm going to say real quick, if you're listening to this, subscribe to Savvy Writes Books, subscribe to the Antibot.
Yeah, I listened to her husband before. Like, her husband was like one of the very first anti-MLM YouTube videos I ever came across in my life. So he's had his channel for a while, and so I started watching the Genetically Modified Skeptic, and then I remember when Taylor started to become a creator.
and they worked together on similarities between MLMs and Scientology.
Right. They would be great to listen to.
It's a fascinating video. I can't recommend it enough. And they were actually showing how Scientology might actually sell more products than MLMs hide behind a product but don't actually sell it, and Scientology hides behind. It was really interesting to see the inverse campaigns that they run.
Right. It goes deeper than what an individual may think, and it's such a rabbit hole that you will go down, and then you find out all of these things like, oh, these are the same tactics, you know, and then you put like the Mormonism and that together, and how they go door to door and recruit people. Okay, well, they recruit people for these MLMs. It's just mind blowing to be like, oh, and like I've had so many like aha moments with that. So what did you tell this woman? Like, how did you tell her? Did you tell her, you know, you're losing money? Did you like give her a website? Like, what did you tell her whenever she came to you?
So I at first said something along those lines, but you know, she's in an MLM, so she did get defensive very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She got defensive very quickly. I didn't want to offend her. And at the same time, this was a relative stranger on the internet that just was like referred to me by a client, and I didn't want to offend them. I didn't feel the responsibility to help them see the light. I felt like I did all I could. I told them I can't work with them. I feel like MLM. I told her just the facts. I said, MLMs for the most part, you're going to lose money. It's not a proper business structure for an entrepreneur to pursue. I don't feel comfortable accepting money from someone who is in this sort of business structure. But if you ever do want to talk about social media, I'm always here to answer any questions that you have.
What did she say to that?
She thanked me. She's reached out to me once after just to ask a question about Instagram, and that was that.
Oh, I thought she was going to ask a question about Mary Kay. No. I said this in one of my previous episodes. This is like, it's crazy because my dad, he used to be in law enforcement, and he pulled over the real Mary Kay. Little did I know years, you know, like I would grow up to look into these types of businesses. But I think that is so wild. He pulled her over in a pink Cadillac that she was driving.
That's fitting.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes back to brand. I mean, pink is a brand. You can grow on that. Yeah,
I do. And I love pink. So that kind of sucks. It's associated with that, but whatever.
Colors can absolutely help. I mean, so the idea of growing a brand, again, it's a tool. It's not inherently positive or negative. I love the idea of using colors to sort of make yourself pop. I haven't had the balls to do it, but since I co-host the Gray and Gold podcast, I've wanted to sort of make my entire wardrobe gray and gold.
Yeah. And I've noticed that with like, you know, like thumbnails on videos, like people go with this color scheme, and that's good. That's great. That's eye-catching, you know, and people do make like a brand out of that. And there's also a lot of psychological factors that go into colors. And it's really, it goes down, it's like a study, like, you know, we're going to put, I don't know, there's placements of items like in the store and like colors that will grab your attention, like the clear, like if something's on clearance, they use, you know, red or yellow because, you know, in like restaurants, fast food restaurants, they use red and yellow because that triggers hunger. It's really interesting how it goes down to a science like that.
I mean, one of my favorite colors for a kitchen is a really soft, bright yellow. It's the kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's the color I grew up with the kitchen, and I always just associate it with happiness. I think the sun looks beautiful off of it. That's what color my kitchen is. Yeah, it's a really calming color. I know that there's a whole study behind the psychology behind colors and the sort of emotions that they can trigger.
Very fascinating. It really is. It truly is. So, unless you want to add anything else, do you want to tell people where to follow you, what to do? I know that you have a YouTube channel, you have a podcast, which I didn't even know about the podcast until recently. And I was like, what? You have a podcast? And then so I started listening to some of it. And so your Instagram, just tell everybody, and then I'll leave links down below, of course, in the show notes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I'm probably like the worst. I'm infinitely, when it comes to social media, more of the do as I say, not as I do, because I'm sort of quiet on social media. Like, I think for one, if you want to grow on social media, your name should be the same or similar across all platforms. Right. Mine isn't. I'm some NOLA guy on Twitter just because I'm mostly on there to talk shit about sports. I'm Author RK Gold on Instagram, where I mostly go on just to post stories of how cute my dog is. Right. If you really want to get in contact with me, I'd say Instagram, Author RK Gold. If you want to hear my nasally freaking voice, sorry, I swear a lot, check out the Gray and Gold podcast. If you want like really intelligent conversations though, again, I swear by this, you should check out Savvy Wright's book, you should check out The Anti-Bot, you should check out Fox and Compass. I just discovered her channel.
Yes,
so cool.
I just discovered her as well because Mombi sent me a video, and so she's like really soft spoken. I think this is the same one. Yeah, she's very, and she calms me for some reason. I don't know why. I started watching it. I was like, she calms me. I like her.
I like her too. I think she's really good at making her points in a. What's the phrase? I mean, I do agree with you. I think she's really good at making points, even on like the side of calling out someone without it ever feeling personal. She's very factual. She's very matter of fact. I think you're calming. She's very soft kitchen yellow.
Yes, she's a soft kitchen yellow. If you're listening to this, soft kitchen yellow. She is, or like a purplish, like a lavender. Very calm, and then lavender.
The big other thing is, I mean, y'all just listen to Graydon Square music. I mean, I think he's the best rapper alive. I swear by his music. Check him out, Graydon Square.
All right. And you're an author too, so.
Oh yeah, I have some books, whatever.
Okay. I would say what books do you have? Where can people find them?
So they used to be wide. They used to be available everywhere. But I started realizing that I make a lot more money when I'm just Amazon exclusive. So they're all just on Amazon now, pretty much exclusively. You can get them digitally, paperback, or audiobook format, whatever your preference is. And most of my books published are middle grade fantasy, but I've started writing more literary fiction. Okay. You are what you consume. I've been consuming a lot of literary fiction books this past year, so I think I started making that switch.
And how many books do you have published?
I only have one full-length novel published. The rest are like 40,000 word novellas.
Okay, well, still.
And that would probably bring me up to like like 5, 6, whatever.
That's still impressive because I don't have one. So.
Well, you should write one. You should write one this year.
I always wanted to. I have always wanted to. And so I actually started writing a book, and my old laptop, it crashed. And I have it on my external hard drive, but my external hard drive won't go into my MacBook. So I don't know. It's just sitting in there, and I just never looked at it again. So maybe I need to figure that out.
Editing a book right now. It's going to be my first release of 2021. Maybe my book with. So I'm writing Cancel Sean Boston with Savvy, which is hilarious. Yes. Savvy's a fantastic writer too.
Yes.
But I'm editing a book right now, which I wrote in just a couple of weeks because I'm experimenting with dictation software. And so for you personally, if you want to start writing a book and you maybe don't feel like you have that much time, I swear by dictation software this go around, because it's a lot easier to. My biggest mistake as a young author was I hated editing, so I never got anywhere.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm now learning the beauty of editing, especially when it's just when you get the rough draft down as quickly as possible. And I think dictation is one of the best ways to do that. I'm switching over to this app called Easy Voice Recorder because I think it accomplishes more of what I'm trying to do. But I knock out about 120 words a minute when I'm doing that. So 10 minutes of my time in the morning gets me up to 1,200 words. I do that 2 to 3 times a day, and I'm looking at well over 3,000 words a day. Some days getting up to 5,000, and it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it. I think you should check it out.
Accomplished like that.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. You're amazing.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Y'all are here, so you should just tell all your best friends. If you and 1,000 of your best friends all subscribe to the Persuasion Pitch, you can help Jess make this a full-time job.
Right. Let's do that, please. Let's do that. All right. Thanks so much.